Welcome to episode 101 of the Quest Lore series, Making History. To start this quest, you must have completed The Restless Ghost and Priest in Peril. Jorrel is in the outpost northwest of Ardoin. King Lathus is planning to take down the building to build a new alchemist lab, which Jorrel isn't happy about, as he believes that this outpost must have some history which has yet to be uncovered. First, he would like you to speak to the silver merchant Aaron, whose grandfather used to live in the outpost. Aaron hands you an enchanted key which changes temperature depending on how close you are to the chest it unlocks. This leads you to near the observatory. Unlocking the chest, you find a journal which belonged to Drozel, who moved into the outpost alongside a bunch of powerful followers of Zamorak. Together they terrorized the city of Ardoin, causing a lot of trouble. They poisoned the city's water supply and turned the children invisible. One day the Saradominists and people of Ardoin revolted and they fought at the outpost. Jorrel thinks there's a ghost in Port Phasmatus who might be able to tell you some more. Jorrelak has a scroll with a timeline of events at the outpost, but he will only give it to you if you can restore peace in the relationship with his ghost wife Melina. He had promised her that he would return before he went to the outpost, but unfortunately he never did, and she still feels bad about it. He gave her a sapphire amulet on the day he left, so he would like you to give her a sapphire amulet. With this, she now feels complete and can pass into the next world. Jorrelak hands you the scroll, and you learn that the Zamorakians moved in on the 65th year of the 5th Age. The Great Battle took place 3 years later, and 3 more years after that, the survivors started a new line of kings in Ardoin and the equal trade market. He also passes into the next world. The last person you need to go to learn a bit more is a warrior called Dron who has studied many wars and lives in Relica. First you speak to Blanin, who is the brother of Dron. Dron doesn't talk to people who don't know him well, so Blanin tells you a whole list of information. Now speaking with Dron, you don't mention that Blanin sent you, and you know that he wields an iron mace in battle. He eats rats for breakfast, kittens for lunch, and bunnies for tea. His favourite drink is red spider blood. He is 36 years, 8 months and 21 days old. He's studied the 5th and 4th ages. His house is on the northeast side of town. His brother's name is Blanin. His pet cat is named Fluffy. And 5 plus 7 is 12. After answering the strange questions to prove that you know him well, you ask about the history of the outpost near Ardoin. The battle ended on the top of the outpost between 2 ex-friends, one following the god of Zamorak and the other Saradomin. They decided to lay down their arms and both unite under the god of balance, Guthix. Spreading the word of equality, one started a market where they would trade their wares equally and fairly, and the other became the king, whose great-grandson is now King Lathus. Jorrel hopes to transform his outpost into a museum. He hands you a letter which he would like you to deliver to King Lathus, who reads the letter and realizes the importance of the outpost, agreeing to allow Jorrel to make it into a museum. You return to him with a letter from the king, and there is now a room displaying items. Here there's an interesting book written about your character that tells stories of some of your adventures. Completing this quest is a requirement for Song of the Elves. Join me next time where I'll explain the lore behind Spirits of the Elid.